What's going on? I am Spartacus here with the Generational Gaming and the Entertainment Network. This is my new setup. I hope you like it. And I'm sorry I missed a couple of weeks, I feel like, and I have a lot of catching up to do, to be perfectly honest. Um, just before I get into my thoughts on a couple of things I watched, I'm going to do my first game review today. I just want to kind of throw out there, if you haven't already, if you're on Facebook, join the Facebook group, Generational Gaming and Entertainment Network. Through that group, you'll get all the updates on the giveaways, the tournaments, any of the big announcements. We have a lot of chat going on there, a lot of posts. We also have new merchandise that's out that we have now, some shirts, some hoodies, some t-shirts, a lot of big things. We have a lot of stuff planned that are coming up, a lot of contests, and just kind of a lot of exciting stuff. We have we're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and I feel like I missed one, Twitter, Twitch, all over the place. I finished Resident Evil Village, which I'll talk about today, and then right now I'm actually trying to finally tackle Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo, which unfortunately, it's sad to say I've never beaten, and I've played probably about the first half of it, and I'm determined I'm gonna finally do it now. Just got to make time for it, obviously. But all that being said, let's get in. What's going on? Mommy's Meat Flaps. I love that name. So let's kind of start. We'll start from the bottom of my little list here. I have a long list of things to go to. For anyone who hasn't watched, Mythic Quest is the first show on the list. So I'm caught up on season 2. I'll try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. I'm loving season 2. I liked season 1. But I did think season 1 didn't really hit the potential, considering Rob McElhenney created It's Always Sunny, which in my opinion is the funniest show on TV. So the first one was more of like a feel-good kind of show. I felt like they kept kind of billing it as The Office, but taking place in a video game studio. That label applies, but the first season, was really stretching its legs, introducing the characters. It's not the longest season ever, so they don't have a lot of time to kind of build up these relationships. But I feel like they're taking advantage of the fact that they have a full season under their belt. And season 2, so far, I feel like has not missed a stride. Each episode is funny. They get funnier and funnier as they go on. The last episode had me kind of laughing out loud, cracking up in my seat. It's worth it for anyone who's a fan of It's Always Sunny. If you're a fan of cricket, then you're going to really love this last episode. He kind of steals the show for me. But they're all good. Every single one of them is really good in the show. It's worth watching if you haven't watched it. It's on Apple TV. Nowadays, it's almost too easy to get a full free year of Apple TV Plus, I mean. So if you haven't watched it yet, go ahead and watch it. It's worth it, 100% worth watching. And it's an easy show. It's a half-hour episode. They're only like 8 to 10 episodes a season. And, it's kind of easy viewing. Even if you're not really paying attention, you still get the gist of everything. And you could still kind of keep up with what's going on. There's no major twists and turns. So that's worth watching. That's number 1 on the list. Now we're going to move on to number 2, because we do have a ton to get through. The second show that we finally caught up on is Mighty Ducks Game Changers. So I've said this before. I play hockey, or I've played hockey. I've pretty much retired. I played hockey for almost my whole life, and I'm a big fan of the old Mighty Ducks. The nostalgia kind of forces me to watch this show. And I know that sounds really bad. The show is definitely for kids. It's not the greatest show ever. It's cute. It's got some moments that make you kind of chuckle. But just a full spoiler, the entire season's about building up to Bombay, I guess, earning the name the Mighty Ducks again. And I don't know, I feel like it almost does a disservice to all the things that happened in the movies beforehand. So I'm not a huge fan. I will keep watching it. My wife's a big fan of Lauren Graham, and she's the main character, or one of the main characters of the show. So for that alone, I'm kind of forced to watch it. But there's also not a lot of hockey content out there besides actual hockey. So, I'll watch it just to kind of have something to keep me entertained in the hockey realm when hockey's not going on. That's on Disney Plus. It's up to you guys. I don't recommend it, but I also don't say stay away from it. It's kind of like whatever you feel like doing. Now I'm going to move on to a movie that I wanted to talk about last week, and for some reason the footage unfortunately got lost, or corrupted. Army of the Dead. So, I am a big, I don't want to say zombie fan, but I do like a lot of zombie movies. Mr. Buttersworth. I am excited for Loki next week. You're beating me to the punch. I'll get there. I was gonna announce it later on, but I am excited for that. Army of the Dead. So I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. I like his style. I like the way he shoots action. I like the visuals. I'm a big zombie fan as far as like Dawn of the Dead. His Dawn of the Dead is amazing, but the classic Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead 2, all those movies are good. I really like Land of the Dead also with John Leguizamo. I'm a fan of all those movies. I like The Walking Dead. I read the comics. So I was interested when they said Zack Snyder was returning to that genre. When they said that he was going with the fast-moving zombies, I was interested. Then they said the zombies were basically going to be smart and use weapons and have like a hierarchy and almost like their own civilization. I started to lose a little bit of interest. I don't know why I did, because the movie's amazing. It's just a cheeky popcorn flick. I feel like it's so entertaining. Turn your brain off and watch it. I do think they're being a little ambitious with some of the hidden details. For anyone who hasn't noticed, the robot zombie is one of them. The aliens in the beginning of the movie is one of them. The time travel loop. I know that they want to build it into a shared universe. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but why does everything need to be a shared universe? Why can't we just have a movie that from start to finish, it tells one story and then it's done? I don't think it really needs a shared universe. I thought Batista was good in it. I thought this movie as a standalone movie was awesome. I'm not 100% itching to see a sequel or a prequel or anything. I'm not dying to watch an anime or read a comic book about it. To me, it doesn't need to kind of expand past this. But it was good enough, and depending on the trailer of the first one, I'll probably watch whatever comes out afterwards anyway. It's worth watching. It's violent. Definitely, it's got like a fun movie. I think there were some premises that didn't hit the mark. Like Zombie Tiger. I feel like they could have done a lot more with certain things. And I almost felt like Zack Snyder was trying to cram a lot into this one movie. There was a lot of plot threads that just didn't necessarily need to be there. Spoiler alert: Dave Bautista did need to have a daughter in the movie. It really doesn't affect the movie too much. I guess they need some sort of heart in the movie, and that's how they came up with it. But I don't know. Those things I could have done without. Honestly, if the movie focused on the fact that it was a group of mercenaries hired to rob a vault in Vegas when Vegas is overrun by zombies, that's good enough for the entire movie. I don't need any more. But like I said, excellent movie, very fun if you want something to watch. It's not scary at all. It's just an action movie, but it's good. Now going to a little bit of an old school vibe. I watched the next movie on my Bond list, The Man with the Golden Gun, and I didn't like it. I will just, before I talk about the movie itself, I will say so far I've watched all the Sean Connery Bonds. I watched the George Lazenby Bond, and now I've seen 3 Roger Moore Bonds. And it's a very easy list to say Sean Connery is number 1. Roger Moore is number 2, kind of by default, because George Lazenby was really bad. But I don't like this like campy silliness that the Bonds have taken over since Roger Moore has been in the role. Like the Sean Connery movies were campy, they were kind of silly, but they took themselves seriously, so it was a little easier to kind of wait and feel the intensity. I have not felt any intensity with Roger Moore. I don't feel like he can pull off suave. I don't think he can pull off action. His fight scenes are garbage. And in this one, it opens up, and I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to butcher it, but it opens up, the very first scene is the little person from Fantasy Island as like a henchman of the main bad guy. When I saw it was Christopher Lee as the main bad guy, I got so excited. But it's just, it was honestly, for lack of a better word, I felt like it was a stupid movie. And the Roger Moore movies have just gotten stupider and stupider as they've gone on. I understand he's Bond for a while, so I have to stick with him for a bit. But so far, I don't really see how anyone can argue that he was the best Bond. I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. And, it's almost like torture right now to get through his movies. What gets me going is that after him is Pierce Brosnan. Otherwise, I'm sorry, not Pierce Brosnan. It's, what the heck's the guy's name? I can't remember. Skinner from Hot Fuzz. That's what I know him as now. I can't think of his name. But yeah, I'm just not a giant fan so far, but we'll see. I know he's got, I think, 5 more movies before I move on from him. So, but I said I wanted to watch all the Bond movies. I feel like I owe it to myself to familiarize myself with all those movies. So I'm going to do it, damn it. I'm going to do it. And I want to do it before the next one comes out with Daniel Craig. So, but this one I would say if you're watching them, skip. It's not worth it. And so before I get into the announcements, Dalton, that's it. Timothy Dalton. Thank you, Mr. Buttersworth. Mr. Buttersworth. Duh. Is there a D at the end there or a 6? It was like a 6. Mr. Buttersworth. I don't know why I have so much trouble saying that name. All right. So before I get into the announcements, I want to talk about Resident Evil Village, my first kind of video game conversation on this on my show here. So, a little bit of background. I have been playing Resident Evil since the very first one came out. I pre-ordered Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation 1. I had a strategy guide for that one. I remember I used to have the big PlayStation box that the games came in with a picture of, I guess it was supposed to be Chris Redfield with this unbelievably badass gun that you never find in the game. It had a big spider behind him, I believe. I love that game. I've played every Resident Evil since then. And for me, up until Resident Evil 4, I loved every single one. Resident Evil 4, I was not a fan of. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I like the slower, methodical survival horror. I don't like the run and gun kind of action. And I feel like it's kind of following, this trend has been happening. So Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 was a little bit more action than Resident Evil 1, but it was still a slower game. Resident Evil 3 was a lot more action than Resident Evil 2. But I don't think the action really overtook the horror part of it. Resident Evil Code Veronica was back to probably, I would say, Resident Evil 2 style, where it was a pretty good balance of action and horror. And then Resident Evil 4 came out, and the whole game is an action game. And while it's not a bad game, it's not a great Resident Evil game, in my opinion. I feel like, you can't just slap certain characters from Resident Evil in there and say it's a Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 5 is a fun game as a co-op action game, but really jumped the shark. And I'm not just talking about the boulder punching, although that was bad. Resident Evil 6, I kind of did it because I felt like I had to, but I really didn't like it. Resident Evil 7 was, in my opinion, a return to form, a much slower, a much scarier game. I played that so many times in virtual reality, just on different difficulties. It was such a fun game. Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake were good, but I was kind of itching for a sequel to Resident Evil 7, and when they announced Village, I got excited. I'm glad they kind of kept with that first-person style. I was skeptic at first, but now I'm loving it. But I could see the cracks forming in the trailers. It looked like it was way too much action, too much inspiration from Resident Evil 4. Now that I've played the game, I can honestly say it was right on the money. Basically, the first 2 hours, I guess, 3 hours, no, probably like 3 or 4 hours of the game is amazing. It's a little bit slower. The ammo was readily available, which I don't like, but you still felt on edge the whole time because the atmosphere was just fantastic. And then once you get past Donna Bonavento's house, which is the scariest part of the game, probably the scariest part in a Resident Evil title, almost overall, it just is nothing but action at that point. And it's kind of too easy. I've played through it twice now. I like to play on casual just to kind of get the story down, and then play on like a harder difficulty just to kind of feel for how the game is when it really cuts back on the resources. And even on the hardest difficulty, you have so much ammo, so much health available. You can craft it, you could find it in the world, and you can buy it from the Duke. It's just too much. And by the end of the game, I mean, it really does feel like like a Call of Duty Resident Evil game. It's a fun game. If you're looking for something new to play, it's a beautiful game. If you're looking for something, if you have a PS5, if you were lucky enough to get one, or an Xbox Series X, but if you're looking for a scary game, it's not the one. You could play the first 5 hours, then you could stop playing, and you would have seen everything that's scary about it. I was disappointed because I was looking more for the Resident Evil 7 experience, where it really was a slow game that made you jump constantly and always made you feel on edge. And after, like I said, you get out of the dollmaker's house, kind of that fear that, the hair standing up on your arms and all stuff just goes away, never really comes back. But if you're a fan of Resident Evil, you kind of have to play it. I'm glad, or I hope anyway, that they're kind of done with Ethan Winters, who's the main character's story, and I hope they move on to some other characters. I'm not like everyone else. I'm not interested in seeing returning characters as the main character. I like seeing other people dealing with this. I like how they're expanding the universe. They've done a good job so far with it. So I don't want to see them just fall back and make Chris or Leon or maybe Jill, because she hasn't really been around in a while. But I don't need them to be the main characters. I just, they can be a part of it, but I'd like to see other characters dealing with this. In particular, I'd love to see a redone with the Resident Evil 2 remake style, Raccoon City, not Raccoon City, the co-op game they came out with, where you could play up to 4 people online. Now they could do that, and it could be phenomenal. A good survival horror game where you have to actually work together would be fantastic. I would love to see that. And I don't mean the Resident Evil Reverse, that the deathmatch and capture the flag style game that they came out with. Every game has that. I don't want a battle royale Resident Evil game, which I'm sure that'll happen at some point. And if you've seen Mythic Quest the last couple of this season, then you'll get why I even brought that up. I want to see traditional Resident Evil, but it'd be cool to have to work with people online and, almost like choose to separate so you can accomplish certain goals. That'd be awesome. I know Roblox does it. So, and I know there's a few other games out there that are like it. So Resident Evil could definitely do something like that. And then those are kind of all the reviews and the announcements. I'm sorry, not the announcements, the reviews for the TV shows, the games, and the movies. But now there's a few announcements. Number one is I just read that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is being rebooted, and Seth Rogen is rebooting it. He's kind of been on a hot streak. I'm sure he's a fan, and it might be okay. I'm a little afraid that it's gonna try and combine his like stoner comedy with the Turtles. That might not be the worst combo, but they haven't released any information about it. So all that we know is that he's aiming for a 2023 release date. We got time to see a trailer and to hear more about it. But just to see another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie being rebooted for the big screen, I'm excited about that. I kind of wish they would just stick with the TMNT animation, because that movie was, in my opinion, one of the best turtle movies we've gotten. And the animation was fantastic, so it's kind of right for that. With the animation, they can bring any character from the comics in. That would be worth it, but I'm pretty sure he's going for a live action thing. I don't want them to go. I'm sure they're going to go CGI Turtles. Not the worst idea, but you need to really hammer home that CGI, and I don't know that they can do it really. I mean, I feel like in 2021 or 2023, 2022, whenever they're filming it, they should be able to build a turtle suit that looks good and that allows the martial artists to actually fight. So we'll see how that goes. But that's a big announcement. Another one is Last Night in Soho. So as a movie fan, if anyone who likes movies, you probably have heard, seen, or love Edgar Wright as a director and a writer. His movies are phenomenal. They're super smart and so tightly written, so tightly edited. They're funny as can be. He did the 3 Cornettos trilogy, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and This Is the End, or The World's End. He also did Baby Driver. Every single one of those movies are awesome. He also did, for any of the nerds out there, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And if you like that movie, then you understand his style and the way he edits and uses sound and visual gags to just get a laugh out of any scene. He's coming out with a new movie called Last Night in Soho. There's a trailer out now. Support the crap out of it. He's such a good director. He's one of the best, I believe, in my opinion, one of the best directors that are currently working right now. And he's still kind of up and coming. My biggest complaint about the MCU to this day is that they got rid of Edgar Wright for the Ant-Man movies. Now, I love the Ant-Man movies. I think they did a great job with those, but his Ant-Man movie would probably be fantastic. I would love for him to come up with his own superhero and just kind of make up his own movie, which he kind of has, I guess, in Baby Driver. But it's check out the trailer when you can, and make sure you support this guy. He needs the support. He needs to kind of blow up. He needs to kind of continue doing what he's doing. I don't want him to really do a giant AAA superhero movie, because that's not really his style. He's more of an independent filmmaker, but the more support we give him, the more movies he can come out with, and that's just a good thing for anyone who likes cinema. And then that was all those announcements. I did want to say, Mr. Buttersworth already beat me to it. Loki comes out June 9th. So starting next week, we will be going episode by episode, the theories, the deep dives, the whole 9 yards. And I'm really, honestly, I invite anybody to jump into the streams. So basically the show will air on Wednesday. It feels like it's going to be a long time, but the following Tuesday, I will be reviewing the show and kind of giving my own opinion on what I think is going to happen, how I think it ties into the rest of the MCU, and where it's leading. That's going to be a weekly topic. So jump into the stream with me and let's chat. I am very interested in hearing what you guys have to say about it. I'm very excited about it. I'm a big fan of Owen Wilson. Tom Hiddleston is one of the best characters in the MCU. His Loki. I'm glad he's getting his own movie. And they haven't really talked too much about how Loki's going to affect the rest of the MCU, but we got to keep in mind that technically Phase 4 doesn't start until Black Widow, which is in July. So a lot of what we're seeing is almost like, it's not even setup, it's like background setup. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki are all kind of setting some seeds that we're not going to see grow for a long time. So I'm trying not to get too much into the conspiracy theory for Loki, and I'm not trying not to get too crazy like we did with WandaVision, with Mephisto and all these big bads and all these different theories. I kind of want to go into Loki and just let the show feed me information, and then I'll take with it and do what I want. I think the idea of Loki going around and having to fix the mistakes or fix the problems that he caused in time by taking the space stone with him is a great kind of setup, and it should really carry us through an entire season. I don't see why it wouldn't. I'm very curious even more on what's going to happen to Loki when the season is done. Is Tom Hiddleston no longer Loki? Is he going to be around for future Thor, Thor 4 or future Avengers movies or whatever? I feel like there's a lot of potential still with his character. So I don't know. I can understand the actor not wanting to play the character anymore, but I think that the MCU would be missing out if they were to get rid of this character. He can really be a good kind of addition to a lot of movies coming forward, a lot of shows. So, but that's June 9th. So keep that in mind. That's next week. It's not too far away. Some of the other announcements are F9, Fast 9, whatever they're calling it. That comes out June 25th. So, again, I've been a fan of Fast and Furious since the beginning. Not all of them have been great. I think the movies really kind of hit their stride with Fast 5. I don't really say it's The Rock who did it, but clearly, once he entered the picture, the movies, I think, got so fun, so exciting to watch. And they've just kind of gotten better and better. I mean, the action, while it is unbelievably ridiculous and they do some crazy, crazy things, that's kind of what you go to a movie like that to see. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of John Cena. I think his comedic timing is fantastic. And I feel like he definitely is going to bring a good character to this movie. So I'm excited that he's in it. Just like I'm excited that he's in the Suicide Squad 2, or if we're calling it a Suicide Squad 2, I don't know. Totally worth watching. The June 25th that comes out in theaters, and I don't believe it's coming out on demand or video on demand right away. I think now the movies are basically waiting a month or two before they come on to, and this one it'll be, I think, HBO Max. 100% excited for that one, though. I'm going to watch that for sure. And I'm very curious to see if they try to bring Brian back. I don't think they will, but I guess they could with CGI. And then in gaming news, the last announcement for the show is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, coming out June 11th, a PlayStation 5 exclusive. The game looks amazing. It's an action platformer. If you've ever played the other ones, then you know what to expect. But this one looks unbelievable. The way you can access different dimensions at an instant because of the fast load times of the PlayStation just looks amazing. The amount of detail in the world looks fantastic. The animation is, Pixar level animation. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. I'm very interested, and I'm thinking about after beating A Link to the Past, jumping into that game and giving that a whirl. I never beat any other ones. I've played some of them a little bit, but now it's better late than never to kind of start beating these games. And then that's it. That's going to be the show for today. There was a lot to talk about. Thank you for those who jumped in and commented. And, I'm here every Tuesday around 8:30. I'm going to try and have guests on more and more. Keep talking about all the shows, like I said. And, we're going to have a ton to talk about, especially in the world of the MCU. There's so much coming out this year. Keep an eye out for me jumping onto Twitch and YouTube. I'll be live streaming Legend of Zelda for Super Nintendo. Let me know what games you think should be beat if I'm going to call myself a video game expert. And I'll try and get to them as soon as I can. Keep an eye out for more and more merch. Let's take a look. Just to show you the back of my shirt. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see. I got my logo on the back. We have hoodies. We have T-shirts. Generational Gaming Entertainment Network. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter. The Scythex, the Captain, One Shot, and myself, Spartacus, we're all just gaming at random times. More and more shows like this are going to be coming out. If you are in the Facebook group, let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know if you want to be a guest on the show. I'd love to have more people on here and kind of just get your opinions. We'll be posting reaction videos, just announcements. I'll be doing reviews, and we just got a lot of stuff coming out. We got tournaments coming up. We got giveaways coming up. If you haven't yet, check out the giveaway announcement on the Facebook group. To enter, you just basically invite someone to the group, subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on Twitch, and then just type done in the reply of that Facebook post, and that'll enter you into a raffle. And once we hit 500 members in the Facebook group and 100 subscribers on YouTube, 100 followers on Twitch, we are going to put together a little contest with the captain and myself, and we're going to be giving some stuff away. So, keep an eye out. And if I don't hear from you on the Facebook group, I will see you next Tuesday. GG, everybody. Keep the gaming up. Keep the families up. All good things, man. All good things. We got a lot going on, so I'm excited, and we got a lot more to talk about as the months go on in 2021. I will see you guys next Tuesday.